Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the fourth episode in the video series On the Shoulders of Giants, presented by the ISR Committee. My name is Khadija Ryan, and I am the ISR Secretary. In this series, we hope to highlight Sahabiyat, female companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as well as their modern-day equivalents, women who embody many of the traits of these Sahabiyat. Today I'll be talking about Hafsa bint Umar radiyallahu anha. Who was she, you might be wondering? Hafsa was the daughter of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anh, as well as the wife of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. A little bit about her life: she was widowed at a young age and then later married the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. She was very educated. She was one of the few women at her time who could read and write, and she also memorized the Quran by heart. Her legacy: she was strong, she was resilient, she was opinionated, she was not afraid to ask questions. These are all super great character traits that we should strive to have, and she's a great role model because it's always important to stand up for the truth and to be strong in your opinions and stand up for things like Islam, as well as have our voices be heard. She was entrusted with the Quran, and a key copy in her possession played a primary role in the effort to compile the Quran into a single book and then have multiple copies be distributed across the Muslim world. I will now hand it off to a current-day Muslima.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Maryam Surveymen, and I love to write and perform poetry. Poetry is something that has now become part of who I am, my identity, and it brings me a lot of joy to do when I have free time. But it wasn't always something like speaking and writing weren't always things that I found to come to me easily. I actually struggled a lot with writing, putting my thoughts into words, and never talked. I never spoke, was terrified of interacting with anyone. So speaking and performing is never something that came to mind as something I would enjoy doing in my life. But whenever I have free time, I'm always writing, and I'm always trying to find a place where I can share my poetry with others. I find poetry to be two things mainly. It's very therapeutic for me, just to get my thoughts out into writing and then going through it and trying to see what part I can share with other people. It's very therapeutic for me, and it's also empowering just to not only listen to other people's stories coming to life on stage, but also being able to share mine and connect my stories with other people's stories, and it kind of helps you to see that you're not alone in whatever struggle you're doing. And poetry is not all about struggle and having to go through difficult situations, but it's a lot about empathy, in my opinion. You feel what other people are feeling, and you kind of try to put yourself in their shoes. At least that's what I feel when I write or perform spoken word poetry and hear others perform it as well. I was never the type of person, like I mentioned before, to be like, give me the mic or I want to say something, but it made me more confident in my abilities to do that. So it made me more confident to speak out against something that I might not be okay with, or try to stand up for myself more than I wouldn't mind people stepping all over me, which is not okay. So it helped me to be more confident and more able to be there and present with my words. And in Islam, we see that there are many women leaders that do that. Maybe in culturally, whichever society we're in, women aren't given the ability, or it's not always like, oh my God, yes, speak, girl, or something like that when they are given the mic. But in Islam, women were always given a voice. And when I think about women in our Muslim tradition, I think of Aisha radiallahu anha, and she was always a scholar, she was always a teacher, she was always a vocal person, and there are many women like that in our Islamic tradition that have showed us leadership through just being vocal and sharing stories and sharing literature. So that's why I find poetry to be so inspiring. And you're kind of not alone. When you hear a poem, you don't know what it's about or what they might be talking about, but you, like I mentioned, feel the emotions and you're trying to understand better. So it just shows you that you're not alone. And there are many challenges in this life, and if it can be, my challenges can be simplified or make me feel, one thing that can make me feel a little bit better, if I can have that in my life, I would pick poetry. And it's just, it's not something that comes easy to me, and it's always challenging me. Being able to constantly improve upon what I write and how I share it and how I present myself with my words and how I can deliver the exact message I want to deliver without being too wordy or over communicating. So that is why I find poetry to be something so beautiful and something that is so valuable in my life. And I hope that I was able to convey a piece of joy that I have in my life, and hopefully this was helpful to one person.